Today we're talking about the 5 lesser known signs that you're an INFJ. You probably have watched all the videos on this topic, but you're still not sure, am I an INFJ or not? Some videos resonate with me, but I cannot be certain. Well, today we're talking about 5 lesser known signs that might help it make it clearer for you. The first sign is that other people underestimate you way more than you underestimate yourself. So we know that every person is sort of being underestimated. This isn't like an INFJ-specific thing, but very often you see as a general rule that other people underestimate you way more than you underestimate yourself. Why is that? Because of the way our cognitive functions are put together. So there is a combination between having NI as your first function and then the feeling function as a second one. It is different for INTJs who are way more into the facts. They're way more into TE, meaning if they believe in something, they are taking the steps every single day to make it happen because they're so connected with seeing real world results. For us, it's different. Our main thing, if we're not really actively doing something about it, the way we go through life, our default state is to have some kind of imagination, to have an idea, and then to connect with people through that idea or through how we experience the current situation. So therefore, we're so invested into how people perceive us, how they think about us. And that does not mean that we are not autonomous beings, not at all. It's just we're very aware of it. We're aware how other people feel. We're aware how they're feeling about us. And so when you see that other people underestimate what you're about and what your ideas are about, then you're probably even less likely to take action into it. It's just way harder. So we have these ideas, we have this potential because through our NI, we can envision how our life could be, who we could be, what we could accomplish. And then we have to take care of that other part, which is so strongly within us, which is FE, meaning how other people perceive that. And so if we want to get to a place where we're not being underestimated anymore, we have to take those TE steps. We have to take those SE steps, although this is not the most natural state for us. People then will recognize that you're actually taking action and you're creating things in the real world that they can then accept before that they have all the possibilities to think that you're just talking or you just have ideas. The moment you put it into action, they will see that this is what you're really about. But yes, it all starts with the fact that people underestimate you way more than you think they should be. Because for you, it's completely obvious that your potential is something that you can achieve. It's just a question of when and how. The second lesser known sign is that people put you on a pedestal. That happens so often for INFJs, but only in the beginning. They see you, they project something onto you, and the first moment you feel so validated, you feel like, yes, that person finally understood me, or they saw that I have something special to offer, and we really hold on to this. This is something that we want to experience because we've experienced it in the past so often, and it's such a high. This is something that I've only seen as a general rule happen to INFJs like way more often than, let's say, other types. And again, it is the way our functions are put together, because this is what happens afterwards. After you've been admired or people have thought you're like this amazing, mysterious being and you're so kind and you see everything that goes around you, at least that's how you as an INFJ experience it very often, how I've experienced it. You know, you get to a point where people see that you are a real person and that you're going to act like a normal human being who has feelings and who has needs and who isn't going to act always in accordance of how the other person wants to see you. So why is that something that is typical for INFJs? It is that way because we have this really hollow out energy. That does not mean that we can't create amazing things. It's actually that through that space we can create the most amazing things. But the way our personal energy is set up, the fact that we are all in our mind, and then when we express something, it's firstly through our emotional state. It isn't something that is really tangible right from the gate. People have the opportunity to project incredible things onto you. And with incredible, I don't mean exactly like amazing. It could also be something negatively, but people go through life projecting, not just other people, like INFJs as well, every single type. That is something that we do on autopilot. We cannot avoid it. But when we're talking about people are projecting onto you, we're always talking about, okay, you're doing it way more, because we always see everything through our filter. But so the way we show up, we give people the opportunity to project onto us who they are and particularly what they would want us to be. They do this until you actually do something that makes them take a step back and recognize, oh, you're not the person that I thought you were. And then people get mad, and then they get upset with you. Then like some kind of drama happens and you don't know what happened. That's a typical INFJ thing. So if you've experienced this, there's a really high chance that you're an INFJ. The third lesser known sign is that you feel like you're ice cold, particularly in comparison with other people. So we can be very kind and we can be very generous and warm, but you know, as an INFJ, deep down, you're actually pretty cold. Whatever comes to you, you feel like you can handle way better than other types. You feel like things that would make other people upset or that would make other people hurt, you can look at it very rationally and to understand, okay, this is what it's about, and not get emotional about it. This is something that I struggled with for a long time because I always felt this made me unlovable. It doesn't make me to be a person who can be supported or protected, and that goes against this whole INFJ theme of I'm being somebody's sidekick. Because when you're being somebody's sidekick, of course you need that person's protection. You need that person to sort of take care of you. I know that us INFJs don't want to admit that because in the end we are autonomous beings and we go through life and we might be people's sidekicks, but subconsciously there is this thing of, okay, I want to be accepted and I'm not the one who makes my life happen as like the main person. I'm on the side of somebody, I help them make something happen. And when you're in that scenario, you really have a dilemma here. So that's why I'm always saying start your own thing. Like create that distance, do your own thing, be the main character of your movie. That does not mean that you won't have friends or you won't have support, but you're not making sacrifices in order to have a good relationship with somebody if it means that you're neglecting something that is really essentially you. So it's all about accepting that we have that ice cold part of us. It has a lot to do with the fact that we're introverts and our introvert functions are NINTI, so there's no emotionality there. If you're, for example, an ENFJ, you have the same functions, but you're an extrovert and that feeling aspect is in that extroverted part. If you're an INFP, you're an introvert, but your feeling aspect is also internally. So that is why we have that feeling of being an ice cold person. So if you're struggling to decide what kind of personality I am, that might help you a lot. And that brings us to the fourth sign, which is that you get judged tremendously. And very often you don't understand why. Don't understand why you, with your ideas or your way of living, is being criticized so often. But the point is that this happens because of the way we're set up. If you see this as something that is actually good, that is to be expected, that is something that shows you that you have to reach for your potential, because people will judge you so often if they haven't seen the results yet. The way we see the world, we are already living in the future. We're creating something, we know how things could turn out, and other people cannot see that yet. They just cannot. It's not their fault. And if we get to a place where we continuously talk about things and we say, oh, you should change with us, or you should do this, and we know how it's going to be, people will get upset about it because they see that this is not something they might be able to do, because maybe they're not as cold as you inside. They don't have the mental strength to pull through something that for you feels like, yeah, you could do this. It would be harder for you. It would be probably better if your friend did it because they have all that potential, or whatever kind of story we're telling ourselves. But in our mind, like, of course it's doable. We can do this. So why are people then judging us so much? We always have to remember, we always see the world through our filter. We see the world the way we are and not the way the world is. So if people judge you tremendously, that's a sign that you're not stepping into your power yet, that you need to actually move forward, that you need to take those ideas and all that visions that you have and make them reality. Because once you've made that happen, the judgment will change. People will see that you actually were right, that you weren't just talking about certain things and that you cannot prove them, and they were just looking at you as somebody who's completely stubborn about something that is just completely irrational. Everything will change once you take those steps. That's why I'm saying look into the 5 pillars, download the poster, like really start taking actions into creating your INFJ epic life, because then people will judge you first off way less. You won't even recognize that they're judging you, and things just completely completely change. You will not believe how much your life and your experience of life can change if you take this on. So again, if you feel like you're judged harshly all the time, then you're probably an INFJ. You have ideas that are not tangible yet, that people cannot see. It's not an TE thing, it's not something that you've actually made happen or something that you can say, oh, this already exists and I'm just going to make it bigger. It is something that is in our mind, and the way we express it is not always understandable for people. So if you want this to change, take the actions to make it a reality. And the last but definitely not least important sign is our learning style. If you're somebody who, in comparison to, let's say, your friend or your colleague, take time to learn something, but once you've gotten a hang of it, you actually bypass people, then you have an exponential learning curve. And it's something that is very typical for INFJs. I've experienced this. I've talked to a lot of INFJs to verify that this is something that so many of us experience. And it is true. We have an exponential learning curve, meaning no matter what you take on, in the beginning it's going to be like this, and then after a while it just takes off. Once you know this, you're not afraid of it. You know that you're going to be slower in the beginning. And why is that? Well, the way we actually want to understand something, we don't want to just understand this one problem or this one situation. We want to understand the big picture behind it, right? We're NI people. We want to understand the big picture about it and then use our TI, our third function, to create a system that uniquely works for us, that will help us to actually manage the next thing that comes up way better, because we've created a system that we continuously adjust. That's the way the INFJ learning curve works. You take on different patterns, it becomes a system that you can apply to more and more situations, and then you're able to solve situations and problems that might be invisible and not understandable to other people who might have been way faster in the beginning. If you want to know more about those 5 signs, I've created a video on each one of them separately, and I've created a playlist for you. You can check them out now.